Good evening. Here in the southeast tonight, a truly gentle man. Friends pay tribute to a Kent law student killed in Yorkshire at the weekend. Families wait anxiously for news of people in Nepal who may have been caught up in the weekend's earthquake. We'll be reporting from Cheriton, where members of the Gurkha community have been holding a vigil.
And it's been a chilly start to the working week, turning wet by Wednesday. I'll have the details.
Good evening. Friends of a 20-year-old law student from Kent who died after being assaulted in Leeds at the weekend have described him as a gentleman who wouldn't hurt anyone. Billy Mankello from Tunbridge suffered serious head injuries in the attack in Leeds in the early hours of Saturday morning. He died yesterday. A 31-year-old man's been arrested on suspicion of murder. John Hunt reports.
This is how friends want to remember Billy Mankello, nicknamed the Sunshine Boy by one. Always smiling, never complaining. He was a popular barista at this coffee shop in Tunbridge High Street before leaving the town to study at the University of Leeds. Friends who worked here with him say they're devastated.
Billy wouldn't hurt a fly. Billy is he was one of the most gentlest human beings I've ever met. And I really hope that they do what is necessary to the person responsible for this, because they've cut a massive chunk into everybody's hearts who knew Billy.
Billy was found with serious head injuries in an archway near Leeds railway station in the early hours of Saturday morning. Despite undergoing extensive surgery, he died yesterday. He was the eldest of 3 children. He went to Hugh Christie Technology College in Tunbridge. His 14-year-old youngest brother still attends here.
Staff have been expressing their shock and anger at what's gone on. He was such a lovely, gentle, kind person, and for this to happen to him is really awful.
Billy Mankello used to be a member of the Tunbridge and Malling Youth Forum between 2007 and 2010. Today, the Borough Council expressed their sadness at his death and offered their condolences to his family. Billy's family described his death as a tragic loss and said they were heartbroken. A 31-year-old Leeds man remains in police custody. John Hunt, BBC South East Today in Tunbridge.
Families in the southeast are still waiting anxiously for news of those feared to be caught up in the Nepalese earthquake. Matt Carapiet, a student from Bearsted who'd been trekking in the country, hasn't been in touch since the disaster happened on Saturday. Some whose families were also caught up in the disaster area and survived are saying not to give up hope. And Gurkhas based in Kent have started the journey to their homeland to help the relief effort. Peter Whittlesey reports.
A community unites, lighting candles in grief and lighting candles in the hope that loved ones will be found.
My cousin brothers and close other relatives, they are missing. They may be buried under the earth now.
The wider community came to support their Gurkha neighbours. At the local primary school, the sense of loss has been shown on the children's faces.
It's the fact that children today at school have realised that relations out in Nepal they will never see again, and that's been very tough for them to come to terms with, and I'm not sure that it really has sunk in for them yet, and the sense that the wider community have of helplessness.
To mark 2 centuries since the Gurkhas first served the British Crown, this expedition to see the first Gurkha ever reach the summit of Everest. After 3 years of training and a month to acclimatise on the mountain, the earthquake struck as they got underway. All are safe and are staying on to offer aid. The government announced Gurkha engineers from Maidstone will fly out to Kathmandu to join the rescue. A national fundraising appeal has been launched.
When I hear the stories of the suffering, I think these people have done so much for us. I think they have a special place in the hearts of the people of Kent. And I'm asking people to look in their heart and then actually to reach into their pocket, because these people need real help.
Matt Carapiet from Bearsted set out on a trek last Monday. His family think he is in the Langtang National Park, but have still heard nothing. But parents of Seb Lavera from Tunbridge heard after 36 hours that their son was safe and said people shouldn't give up hope.
Because the country is obviously in a state and because communications are variable all the time, then I would say don't give up hope. You know, loved ones could still be fine, but just unable to get in touch.
But with these images still coming out of Nepal, many desperate families are still hoping and waiting for good news.
Well, Peter joins us now from Cheriton, where lots of friends and family gathered for a candlelit vigil this evening. And Peter, hundreds of people did turn out.
So many people wanted to attend tonight's vigil. The venue had to be moved to a local park to accommodate everyone. The earthquake may have happened thousands of miles away, but the Nepalese community here are so tight-knit, everyone seems to know someone who was caught up in the disaster. Former Gurkhas based in Canterbury were on the city streets today fundraising, and tonight there are calls that more troops should be sent to Nepal to support the aid effort, including the Gurkha Rifles, who are based here in Folkestone. And also the national aid effort will be launched tomorrow, and it's believed that Joanna Lumley will be the face of that campaign.
OK, Peter, thank you. A man who was arrested after a car crashed into a house in Margate has been released on police bail. A Mercedes saloon hit the house on Saturday morning while police were following. A 24-year-old man from London was arrested on suspicion of dangerous driving and failing to stop. Now, it is the last full week of campaigning ahead of the general election, and the Deputy Leader of the Labour Party, Harriet Harman, was in Brighton and Hove today, where her party are hoping to win back 3 seats that they lost in 2010. Visiting the Theatre Royal to launch her party's culture charter, Ms Harman predicted that Labour would take seats from the Conservatives in Kent and Sussex in 10 days' time.
People know that the promises that the Conservative government have made, many of them have just not been delivered, and they're seeing that our plan that we're putting forward to help people with their living standards, to help with more job opportunities and protect public services from what are the extreme cuts that the Tories would put on them, especially the NHS. I think that will hopefully make people here in the South East as well as in other regions think that we need a change.
Well, last week, the Liberal Democrat leader Nick Clegg visited Maidstone, believing that his party can cause a real upset and take a seat that has been strongly Conservative for many years. Today, the former MP for Maidstone and the Weald, Anne Widdecombe, was out campaigning for her successor, Helen Grant, in a bid to shore up support, as our political editor, Louise Stewart, reports.
How are you? Good morning. Shaking hands with potential voters and their four-legged friends, Anne Widdecombe hit the campaign trail in Cranbrook to help boost support for the incumbent Tory MP Helen Grant. Despite the fact Anne Widdecombe held this seat in 2005 with a majority of almost 15,000, and it's now been slashed to just under 6,000, she says she's convinced Helen Grant will win again.
I'm utterly confident. From the reception we've been getting today, it's quite obvious to me that people want to vote for her locally, but they also want to vote Conservative nationally.
The Lib Dems are clearly targeting this seat. Nick Clegg has been here a couple of times. He thinks Jasper Gerrard, the Lib Dem candidate, could actually get a scalp here.
Oh, it wouldn't be the first time. When I was first fighting this seat, we had David Steele, who was then leading the Liberals. He came down, he said exactly the same thing. It doesn't matter who they bring into the constituency. What actually matters is what the voters in Maidstone and the Weald actually think. That's what matters. And from what I can make out today, they are thinking, and they don't want to trust the economy to Miliband, and they certainly, absolutely certainly, don't want the SNP running their affairs. I mean, why should Cranbrook be run by the SNP?
Hello there, it's Jasper Gerrard here, the Liberal Democrat parliamentary candidate for the area.
Just over half an hour away in Maidstone, Jasper Gerrard is hitting the phones.
It's looking really, really close here.
I think Jasper's got an absolutely excellent chance, and in a way you can see the Tories are slightly panicking by wheeling out Anne Widdecombe this late in the election campaign. I've been talking to a lot of voters this morning on the phones, and it's very striking just how many people have heard of Jasper. Very unusual for a non-MP to have such a high name recognition, and that's a real tribute to all the hard work he's put in over the last few years in this area.
All the candidates in this constituency will be working hard to get their voices heard before polling day on May the 7th. Louise Stewart, BBC South East Today.
Well, our reporter Mark Sanders has been following the story as well, joins me here in the studio now. Mark, in the past then, Maidstone and the Weald has been a rock-solid Tory seat, but it looks as if things potentially could change.
I mean, the Liberal Democrats are clearly targeting this seat. Now, back in 2005, at the general election, when Anne Widdecombe was the Conservative MP, she got more than half the vote, with a majority of just under 15,000. Now, fast forward to the election in 2010 with Helen Grant, she got less than half the vote, with a majority of under 6,000. So the Lib Dems clearly think they're in with a chance. Nick Clegg has been campaigning there, and a recent poll by that party claims that the Tories are now down to 34.5%, with the Lib Dems close behind on 30%. But as we saw there, Anne Widdecombe saying, look, this has all been exaggerated and the chances of a Lib Dem victory are unlikely. But of course, the Conservatives and Liberal Democrats would like to see Maidstone and the Weald as a two-horse race. Let's remember, of course, Labour and UKIP fielding candidates there.
Mark, thank you very much. And in fact, there are 7 candidates who are standing in Maidstone and the Weald for the general election on May the 7th, and they are listed on the screen for you now. And of course, there is a full list of all candidates standing across the South East on our website, bbc.co.uk/election2015, and you can get involved on Twitter using the SEVote hashtag. And all of our election coverage is on our Facebook page, facebook.com/BBC South East Today. And that's it from me. We'll have the national weather forecast in a moment, but firstly, let's get the picture here in the South East with Rachel Mackley. Rachel.
Good evening. So, of course, last week we got used to temperatures in the low 20s. Now, over the next couple of days, I'm afraid temperatures feeling much cooler, actually around average for the time of year, but around 11 or 12 degrees. A really chilly northwesterly winds stays with us. Rain and showers, particularly for Wednesday and for Thursday. Eventually, though, heading towards the weekend, it's going to be turning a little milder. Now, through tonight, we're going to be staying dry. 1 or 2 showers around initially, but because of those northwesterly breezes, temperatures should be staying frost-free. So lows there, 4 or 5 degrees along the coast. Still quite a cool start to the day, particularly for more rural spots, but lots of sunshine really from the word go. Now, by the afternoon, the chance that you could catch a shower, but mostly you should be staying dry. And again, temperatures a little bit disappointing, around 11 or 12 degrees. You're really going to notice the winds initially northwesterly, around 15 to 20 miles per hour. And they stay with us as well as we go through tomorrow night. Again, we should be staying mostly dry, just the risk of a shower. But because of the strength of the winds, we're going to be staying frost-free. So lows 4 or 5 degrees. Potentially in more rural spots we'll see lows of around 1 or 2. Initially dry for Wednesday, but when we're going to be seeing this band of rain, heavy at times, moving in from the west, eventually all of us seeing it for a time. Now it's clearing through relatively quickly because of the strength of the winds, but still plenty of cloud cover around, and temperatures again 10 or 11 degrees. Those winds really picking up, an average wind speed 20 to 25 miles per hour, gusts much stronger than that. Now over into Thursday, we're going to be seeing some really quite heavy showers for a time. Now those showers eventually are going to be easing as we go over into Friday, but for Thursday, lots of blue on the map, and again it's going to be feeling relatively cool. Now as you head towards Friday, we're going to start to see a little bit more orange. It is eventually going to be turning a little bit milder, but rain again around for Thursday, those showers eventually easing as we go over into Friday. Here's the outlook for us here in the South East. Darren Betts takes a closer look at your national weather forecast.